Told you we always been ready. I don't need people that's petty, that weigh on me heavy while I'm being steady. I need a record with Felly. We get it bouncing like Betty's, I feel like I'm Nelly. Don't bring the beef like a deli, it's leave on a levy. No sleeping on me like I'm Freddy. Chris Breeze, how I do, hit him with the moves. Left hand step back, ballin' like I'm Coos. All faith, God's plan, you just gotta choose. God slaps, nothing left to prove. Y'all gotta leave me alone. Lately I've been in my zone. Told them no cap like I fitted, but lately the flows have been straight off the dome. I feel like I'm MVP, like my name Patty Mahomes. If it ain't about money, don't hit up my phone, cause lately I've been in my zone.
Hello, welcome to the Cowboy Show, hosted by Ben Carey and Nick Gronerad, combining expert human opinions with cutting-edge simulation models to help you arrive at the best picks each week. Inside Edge Community. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone? That's the wrong scene. That's the right scene. Also, why the fuck is my camera so blurry? I might be Bigfoot, but regardless, hopefully that'll fix itself in the coming seconds. I'm blurrier than anything.
You got that toaster.
Yeah,
camera.
I must have the toaster quality camera. What's going on with this? Come on, I was just on it and it was good.
Yeah,
but
do that.
That's okay. It'll figure itself out. Not important. We've got Saturday Night Football. How weird is that?
Well, not super weird that it's football on Saturday, but it is NFL football on Saturday.
Yeah. Hold on. What's going on here? The widget's also not updated. That's okay. I'm gonna get this. I swear I did that. It was updated. That was from last week or from Thursday. We've got Patriots and Colts.
We do.
So Ben, while I'm getting this set back up, tell us a little bit about this game.
Well, it's a big one. Colts sitting at, I think, 7-6, right? That's the record.
Yeah, Colts are sitting at 7-6. Patriots 9-4.
Yeah, 7-6 Colts at home. Both teams coming off a bye. I find pretty interesting. I've heard a lot of interesting takes on the bye for both teams and who it benefits more. In my mind, it cancels out. But yeah, Colts at home, they need a win. If they lose and go to 7-7, I think they are definitely outside looking in, especially because they have a tough game coming up against the Cardinals too as well, and I forget who their other game is against, but they don't have an easy schedule. So I look at this game for Indianapolis as a must-win. Now, on the other side of the other team, of course, Patriots, I mean, it's not like they're coming into this game not looking to win the game. I always like to say that because they want to win too, and they have one of the best coaches in football. So it's going to be a really good game. You have two really good defenses. You have a young quarterback, Mac Jones, who has proven himself, and he's fit really well in the system. And I personally like the Colts to come out on top in this one at home. I think it's a really good spot for them. I'm leaning Indy all day. I have no true opinion on the total because I think it is a pretty tight line at 45, or what are we showing now? I guess it's to 46. Wow.
Yeah, showing 46, and also the spread has moved a little bit as well. So Colts are down to -1.5. This was sitting at -2.5 earlier today. I'm actually a little bit curious if there's any sort of breaking injury news that might have caused this to move from 2.5 to 1.5. So on the Patriots side, I'm not really seeing anything aside from what we already knew. Damian Harris is the big guy that's out. They're not really having any kind of COVID issues, unlike a lot of other teams around the league. The Colts are missing a few guys, but I don't think that there's anything really breaking on that end either. I mean, the big miss for the Colts is center Ryan Kelly, who is going to be out. It's not COVID related. I think that they're dealing with a family issue related to his wife's pregnancy, is what I was reading. So can't really blame him for missing the game. But
Nick,
aside from that, I'm not seeing anybody out, unless you see something else.
No, you're correct. But I actually think the Ryan Kelly news is somewhat significant, but it wouldn't warrant a move from 2.5 to 1.5 because it was at 2.5 this morning. I spoke with John Murray a few hours ago, actually about an hour ago, and I was asking him what they were seeing from bets and sharp action, and he said that when this number opened at Pick'em to 1.5, they saw some pretty significant sharp action on the Colts to begin with, but after it crossed to 2.5, they didn't see any more sharp reaction. So it was one of those things where they jumped on it quick. But it is interesting to see this number kind of move back towards where it opened at. I know there's a lot of money on the Patriots tonight. I mean, that's where the public's at. It's an easy spot for the public to get behind. Bill Belichick. Patriots are hot. So that's kind of where we're sitting at with this one as far as where the bets are going and the money's at. And yeah, let's hop on into the model, I guess.
Yeah, so I hate to disagree with you for the second primetime stream in a row, but I'm on the Patriots on this one. I'm gonna side with the model, especially on a spread. I mean, with the total, I'm a little bit more inclined, I think, to vary, just depending on some game flow things that I think might be happening. But with the sides, I'm gonna stick with the model here. So the model has the Patriots taking this game 20.88 to 20.38 averaged across all the sims that we've done. So it's a Patriots win by 0.5 point as a 1.5 point underdog. I liked it a lot more when they were 2.5 point dogs. I think that extra point of cushion is pretty important when you're dealing with a spread this small. That being said, I'm still gonna side with the Patriots here. I'm gonna take the dog to an outright tonight.
Yeah, this is a interesting line because some people look at, the Colts are the favorites. There's a reason for that, right? Like, got to be on the Colts. But then the other side is, wow, look at the value you can get with the Patriots, right? So it's just interesting to kind of see how people look at the number, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, there it is. Bill Belichick 15-6 after a bye.
I mean, is that better or worse than his winning percentage not after a bye?
It's better.
I think that's
better.
a legitimate question. I mean, so what is 15 over 21 is?
Yeah, it has to be
75%. It's got to be
because Bill Belichick, I think, is 58, 59 ATS over the last 6 or 7 years, I believe.
We're not even talking ATS with this. I think we're just talking straight up.
Oh, this is just straight up. Yeah. Okay.
Or maybe it's ATS.
I think it is ATS.
Well, maybe it's both. I don't have the exact number. And yeah, so also Perfect Beast, see you in the chat. Said let's fucking go. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for following just before we got started. Pick 6 says let's go Colts. Synchronicity gave us the Belichick stat, and Snook said Indy is first in the league for overs at 8-5. Yeah, they are one of 2 teams with 8 overs and 5 unders on the year. And kind of surprisingly, that is actually the most overs any team has had. I feel like usually there's just always one team, even with spreads, right? There's a couple teams that are really great against the spread. Like I think the Packers are 11-2. But there aren't any teams that have performed crazy on overs or on unders in the league this year. On that same note, the Patriots 6 overs, 7 unders in their 13 games. Patriots are 9-4 against the spread. Colts are 8-5 against the spread. So 2 pretty good ATS teams. I mean, I think that with this 1.5 point spread, it's really just going to come down to whoever wins is going to cover.
Yeah, most likely.
But yeah, so do you take any stock in that statistic about the Colts being first in the league for overs at 8-5? And do you think that impacts anything with this game?
I think potentially it could impact how people are betting it. I mean, they're seeing that trend, and 46 seems a little high, to be honest.
Yeah.
When it was sitting at 40, when it was sitting at 44 and a half, I'm like, okay, that seems right. And then 45, I'm like, all right, now it's up to 46. I almost kind of lean under now.
Yeah, I kind of like the under, and the model likes the under here too. So I think that might be the spot where we agree.
Yeah.
To throw up a lean. I know we don't agree, and we can argue here until the game starts. We can argue until halftime. And even we're not going to convince each other, I think.
Yeah.
To
also,
sides.
Nick, I want to give you credit for not showboating or taking a lot of credit for the Chiefs winning. I think that just shows your maturity.
That was a complete coin flip.
Yeah.
Right? It was an OT game. The Chiefs won the coin flip and they scored. Right?
Yep. And 3 possessions inside the 5, no points. That will happen.
Honestly, I was kind of pissed that it went to overtime in the first place. I would have been very happy because we had the under in that game as our lean. I would have been very happy if the Chiefs just didn't score or didn't convert that 2-point conversion, and we were able to chalk up a win on the under.
I love seeing the takes about Brandon Staley. He's coaching with an ego and all this stuff. I'm like, guys, no.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing with the analytics, right? It's all about if you make this decision 100 times, are you better or worse for it? Like, of course, each individual decision, whether it in hindsight was the right or wrong decision, is determined by the outcome of one play. And it's fine for a couple of those plays in a row to go bad. It happens. That's just the way that it works. It's the way that anything regarding probability works. I mean, if you play roulette, even if you make a good decision, you're going to get the wrong outcome 4 or 5 times in a row. It happens. It's just probability. But it's about if you really, really go, like you make those decisions for your whole career, you're better for it. Yeah.
And then in one smaller sample size, when they compound and don't warrant a good result, it just seems that much worse, right? So, all right, let's go with that under then. Yeah, I think that's a good play.
Yep, we're gonna find consensus between us on that under. So you ready to move along to the prop market for this game?
Yep.
And I will say at this point, for anybody who is new to the streams, how we do these primetime game streams is we start out just by talking about the game, and then we're going to work through the prop market. We're going to start with quarterback props, move to rushing props, then to receiving props, then touchdown props, then have our best bets for the game at the end of all that. So that's kind of the workflow that we're working with. And if you guys have any picks that you like, any comments, thoughts on what we're saying, let us know in the chat. Always got that up, always reading it, always interacting with everybody. So, passing props. We have Carson Wentz, over under 222.5. Mac Jones, over under 233.5. Anything here interesting to you?
So to be very honest with you, Nick, I didn't dive too deep into the quarterback numbers, which is kind of weird why I didn't start there. But what I will say, though, is Mac Jones over is intriguing to me because of how they played. Well, I shouldn't say how they played, how the game went against the Bills.
Yeah, how they had to play.
It was at 3 attempts, I believe, 1 for 3.
He was 2 for 3 for 19 yards.
2 for 3. That's crazy. One of the craziest stat lines you'll see.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Bills, man. Anyways, it's really hard to say if this number is, I guess, a little lower than it would be because of that performance, or if it's where, if it's just maybe I'm overthinking it. But what are your thoughts there?
So I really hope that nobody is looking at anything that happened in that Patriots Bills game and using it to inform where they're putting their money on this game. That was one of the absolute biggest outlier games that the NFL has ever seen.
Okay, it's one thing to say they shouldn't. The question though is
are they?
Are they?
So I don't. I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not. I think if it was last week, maybe more so, yes. But since there's a bye and people are prisoners of the moment and recency bias, maybe not as bad. So I was just curious your thoughts on that. But you're 100% right. They shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who is not gonna have a successful long-term outlook in the sports betting world. So what I do think is worth noting is how Mac Jones has performed in other games this year. He hasn't really been all that close to this number in recent weeks. Again, we're completely ignoring the Bills game. 310 against the Titans in week 12, 207 against Atlanta in week 11, and then below 200 twice in a row in weeks 10 and 9. 217 against the Chargers, 307 against the Jets. Those are his passing numbers on this winning streak. So he's either been in like the 300 range or the sub 200 range, basically, aside from the one game where he had 217. If we're operating under the assumption, though, that the Patriots might lose, I know that you like the Colts here. Mac Jones in losses this year. 281 week 1 against the Dolphins, 270 week 3 against the Saints, 275 week 4 against Tampa, 229 week 6 against Dallas. So aside from that Dallas game where he only threw the ball 21 times in that game, he's gone way over this number. So I think that if you like the Colts, the Mac Jones passing over is a pretty nicely correlated play with that.
I actually was going to bring that up because I really think the game plan tonight defensively from the Colts is going to be let Mac Jones try to beat us, because I really do believe that at times, well, first of all, Darius Leonard, he's a dog at linebacker for the Colts, but I also think that at times they will cheat a little bit to try to limit the run game. And they're going to say, hey, Mac Jones, if you can beat us with your arm, rookie quarterback coming in on the road in a hostile environment, so be it. I really do believe that's going to be the game plan tonight for the Colts.
Yeah, and I do think that's I was just saying how we can't really take anything away from that Patriots-Bills game. I do actually want to contradict myself for a second and think that that's the one thing that we can take away, right? It is in that game, the Bills knew that the Patriots were going to run the ball every single play, and they couldn't really stop it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
they didn't.
Yeah. So the Patriots have that kind of confidence. They have executed that game plan, and they know it works. Are the Colts going to be able to do something that the Bills didn't do? Maybe not. I don't really know. But I do agree that the Patriots can have some cockiness, say, about trying to run the ball down the Colts' throat with Ramondre Stevenson.
Mm-hmm. Well, Damian Harris is out, so it's going to have to be Stevenson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess coming back to these passing props, Mac Jones, I guess both of them really, I actually want to fade pretty heavily. I think that whichever quarterback loses is definitely going to go over their number. And then it's just it's such a coin flippy game that I don't want to be betting on who that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is going to be a challenging game for Mac Jones, as pointed out in the chat. But hey, I mean, he's come in and exceeded expectations. So at the same time, I can't say, the rookie quarterback thing, it only goes too far, and I think he's proven himself. But at the same time, back to that bye week stuff with Belichick. Well, Frank Wright's had an extra week to prepare for a rookie quarterback too. So we'll see. We'll see what prevails tonight.
Yes, we shall. So I guess on Carson Wentz passing, any thoughts?
I agree with what you said. I mean, if the Colts get up, they're going to run the shit out of the ball with Jonathan Taylor. So, and also it is interesting that Patriots defensively, they haven't given up a lot of big plays, not only in the run game but the pass game. They've they've done a really good job at limiting my new favorite stat, explosive plays. But at the same time, Patriots have had a weird schedule lately. That the bye, the Bills game with 35, 50 mile per hour gusts, and then they played a few subpar teams. So I think there's a lot of variance in some of these numbers, Nick, not only in the prop market, but just as a whole, because we're really looking at how the Patriots have performed on the course of the season and with the rookie quarterback. But there's a lot of moving parts in this game. That's what I'm kind of getting at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you. So you want to move over to the rushing prop market?
Yep.
And I think with this transition, where is Fortnite? First time chat, welcome to the stream. Thanks for checking us out. So I like Stevenson anytime touchdown. So I think that's kind of interesting, actually. I think that Ramondre Stevenson is definitely going to have a lot of volume. We'll take a look at the end at the touchdown prop market. But he's definitely a guy who should have the ball in his hands 20 times today. And anybody who has the ball in their hands that much is got to be a good look to score. But on the rushing prop market, we have 3 guys listed. We have Carson Wentz over under 10.5, Jonathan Taylor over under 94.5, and Ramondre Stevenson over under 73.5. So both of these run defenses have been, I would say, kind of average against running backs. The Colts are allowing 4.18 yards per carry to running backs, only allowing 19.3 attempts per game to running backs. I think that a lot of that has to do with just the fact that their run game is so good that they have the ball a lot. So teams just don't run as many plays against them. On the Patriots side, they're allowing 4.49 yards per carry on more than 22 carries to running backs. I think that the yards per carry number is a little bit inflated by the Chargers game, where Justin Jackson had 3 carries for 79 yards. I think if you take that out, just that big play, they're more in line with where the Colts are as far as efficiency against running backs. All of that said, are either of these backs interesting to you? Overs or unders?
Yeah, there is one. It's kind of going against the grain, I guess, based on what you said and what the chat has said. But I kind of like the under for Stevenson. And the reason why is I think Bolden is going to get more of a snap share than what we've seen recently with Harris out. I think that's a prime Bill Belichick move. He's a trusted guy. He's been with this team. I think he might be one of the most veteran players on that team. He's got to be up there. But I think this 73.5, and again, for me, since I think the Colts are going to win this game, I naturally lean under. But I think with the Harris news, I think that benefits Bolden more than it does Stevenson.
I kind of disagree.
Okay, let's hear it.
So Harris did miss one game earlier this year. He missed the Week 10 game against Cleveland. So we do have like a 1-game sample size for how the backfield looks without Damian Harris. And Brandon Bolden was active in that game as well. Let me double check JJ Taylor. He was also active in that game.
JJ's out.
Is JJ Taylor out today?
That he had COVID.
Okay. Well, I mean, he hasn't done much of anything at all.
Hold on.
So.
Someone confirm.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that in a second.
I confirmed he's out.
Okay, cool. So in that one game in Week 10 with Damian Harris out of the lineup, Ramondre Stevenson had 20 carries for 100 yards and 5 targets in the passing game. He played only, I guess, 55% of the snaps, so it does look like he did get the ball on a really high proportion of the snaps that he was in. I think that part of the reduced snap count for him was the fact that this was a game that the Patriots won 45-7. I think that Stevenson kind of just did his damage, and then because he was the number one healthy back, they rested him. In that game, Brandon Bolden played 27% of the snaps, which is more or less right in line with where he's been all season. I think he's very cemented into that third down back role, passing down back, at least. He only had 3 carries compared to Stevenson's 20 in that Week 10 game. And he also... Oh, no, sorry. He did have 3 carries for 32 yards, also had 3 targets. Turned that into 3 catches for 38 yards. So I think that Bolden is kind of cemented into his passing down back role, kind of regardless of who the number one is. And that's similar to what the Patriots have done with James White in the past. He's a guy who's never really taken over number one running back duties when a guy, say like Sony Michel, back when he was in New England, if he was out, somebody else would step into that first and second down back role, and then James White keeps the third down back role.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I get that, but at the same time, I just don't see Stevenson getting over 75% of the snaps tonight.
I don't think he's going to get 75% of the snaps either, but I think he's going to get pretty much all of the first and second down plus third and short volume, which is where they're a threat to run the ball. I think that Bolden's going to be out on passing downs because he's an excellent receiving back. I don't think that he's going to be out there running the ball on 1st and 10.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think he's capable. I just think that, of course, the skill set's better out of the backfield as a receiver, but I don't know. Maybe it's a lot of speculation on my part.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that if we going off of again, it is one game, but there are 60, 70 plays in that one game that we can base it off of, and Stevenson really was the bell cow, and I think that also it goes with what Belichick has done. He like the backs are very segmented in their roles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Snook, that's kind of what I was getting at. 50% of the plays. That's what I would expect.
I'm not expecting Stevenson to be anywhere higher than 60, 65% of the snaps.
But hey, 50% of the plays, though. I mean, 73, like the numbers were close to probably where it should be.
Yeah, I know. Right? I've been arguing for Stevenson for the last 5 minutes, but I do. But no.
People are probably like, "This. What's this guy doing? Arguing with himself?"
I think I have a very slight lean on the Stevenson over. Here, let me filter this out so we've got just the Pats guys.
And real quick, Boogie, we did go over the quarterbacks. Nothing strong from us there.
Yeah, I think it's just very correlated with who wins and loses. I think the losing quarterback is definitely going to go over their number, and then the winning quarterback is kind of just a coin flip. That's where I was at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So the model, worth noting, does have Bolden getting quite a few carries here. So combined, it has the Patriots backs at around 80 yards, which I think that seems reasonable. I think the two of them combined 80 yards on the ground sounds perfect. It is a little risky. So I have a slight lean on over for Stevenson just because I am a little bit more confident that he's going to get the carries. And also, I do like the Patriots to win this game. So I think that Stevenson's just going to get more carries than you do. But I do lean over on Stevenson. I think he's got a high floor, is a good way of putting it. So what about Jonathan Taylor? This is a high number at 94.5.
It is a high number, man. You know what, Nick? I do kind of lean over, and thanks, Boogie Bears, for the follow. I know it's high, but regardless if the Colts win or not, I really think they're going to try to establish a pretty sound run game. I mean, that's not a hot take at all, the way they've played and the success they've had. But I think that if you look at the Pats defense, that's the one, I don't want to call it a hole, but based on what they do well, what the Pats have been iffy with, I think that they're going to really try to establish the run.
Yeah, so you want to hear an interesting stat.
Yeah.
So the Colts, as you know this year, are 7-6. In the 7 wins for the Colts, Jonathan Taylor has gone for 100-plus yards all 7 times. In the Colts' 6 losses, the most rushing yards he has in a game is 83. So from that perspective, this Jonathan Taylor rushing yards prop is 100% correlated with whether the Colts win or lose.
Yeah, I would agree. Like if I could look into a crystal ball and Colts win, I would feel really good about playing that over.
Mm-hmm. So I honestly, so we kind of hate on same game parlays, but this game actually really does feel like a nice SGP opportunity just with how correlated some of these things are. So like if you like the Colts to win, you maybe take Colts money line, you take the Jonathan Taylor rushing over, and you take the Mac Jones passing over. That kind of deal. I think that this is the kind of game that really you can take advantage of some of the correlation.
Well, if the value is there.
If the value is there, yeah. But I think that it is. I think that whatever site you use, DraftKings, PointsBet, is not gonna. They're not gonna think that the correlation is so high like it might be in this particular game.
Mm-hmm. I'm cooking up something real quick, but
all right, yeah. You kind of work on that on the side while I'm talking. But yeah, I mean, I think for Taylor at least, that's kind of all it boils down to. Is do the Colts win or lose?
Well, Nick, real quick, you could do 2 separate same game parlays, and then have one with the Patriots winning, and then have all those
and the
reversed.
Stevenson over, Wentz over.
Yeah, and then Colts, Taylor over, and then Mac Jones over.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm kind of curious what this is at. We could maybe not like the best play, but something to point out. We can do the math at the end.
Yeah.
See kind of exactly what this comes out to. But yeah, I think long story short, both the passing props and the rushing props are crazy correlated with just the outcome of the game based on the way that these teams play. So you want to move on to receiving props, where I do think that we lose a little bit of that correlation, which makes for a more open-ended discussion. That's not just who do you think wins?
Yes, I have one I think that I like a lot.
All right.
I hope you're on board with it.
Okay, let's see. So what team is this player on?
Colts.
On the Colts. All right. So let's run through the Colts receiving yards market real quick. So we've got Jack Doyle over under 20.5. We've got Jonathan Taylor 19.5. Michael Pittman Jr. 55.5. Nyheim Hines 16.5. T.Y. Hilton 28.5. Zach Pascal 24.5. So who's your dude?
My dude is Doyle.
Doyle rules.
Doyle.
And do you like your the over or the under for Jack Doyle?
I like the over.
The over. I was going to be really surprised if you said the under, because you're always scared of the unders on low numbers like this.
Yeah, I am. But I thought this was super interesting because if you look at the raw numbers, I think Patriots have to be either 1 or 2 against tight ends as far as receiving yards, because going through their schedule, I think the only game where they had a tight end really have like a solid game that you could say like that was a good performance was against the Cowboys with Schultz. Maybe I'm missing one.
Yep. So Patriots are the best team in the league yards per game against tight ends.
Yeah, I was gonna say because the Bills game. We don't need to talk about that. Knox probably had like 12 yards. If after that I was just going each one and I'm like, oh my gosh, 10 yards, like 15, 25.
Yeah, but, I have the numbers up. We can go through them in a second.
Okay.
But keep going.
But I think that this number is so reflective of that, where it's down for a reason in 19.5. But Doyle has been a guy that Wentz has tried to target, and they really like him out of the run game too as a pass blocker, so he's on the field quite a bit. And I just think throughout the course of the game, he's going to have 3-4 targets. He gets 2 catches. He's hitting this over. So that's kind of my reasoning there. I just think the number is so low, and it should probably be closer to 21, 22, which I know isn't a huge difference from where it's at, but I like the value there.
Yeah, and if we're talking those 2 yards difference, that's a 10% difference in this number.
Yeah, at a low number. Yeah.
So tight ends against the Patriots. The Bills in the hurricane. It wasn't really a hurricane. But in the strong winds last time out, 2 catches for 14 yards. Titans, a team that has a couple different tight ends that they really like to use. Pruitt, Firkser. I always say Firkser. It's actually Firkser. Firk. Firkser. I hardly know her. No, but they combined only 3 catches for 25 yards. Falcons, Kyle Pitts, 3 for 29. Browns, their 3 tight ends combined 7 for 54. And like you said, Dalton Schultz, 5 for 79, is the only tight end that's gone over like 40 yards against them this year.
Yeah. And Nick, for that Falcons game, do you know why that I think it's a little misleading as far as Pitts' performance?
Well, I mean, I think that everybody's focused on Pitts. I mean, he's having so many unders. We've been talking about it on stream.
He's the number one guy, and I really think that, and I think you called that. I remember you were saying that they're going to look to shut down Pitts, and they did. But I think with Doyle's what, maybe the 3rd option on, maybe even 4th, but
yeah, they have like other reasonable options. I mean, they have one of the best couple backs in the league. Pittman's a good receiver. Pascal's a good receiver.
Yeah.
Hilton's past his prime, but is still a threat.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to benefit him in this number because I think he's going to be open and he's going to have some separation and some targets in this one.
Yeah, so on this note, Ben, I want to ask you one question.
Yeah.
So this kind of popped into my head when I was looking at this earlier. So the Patriots, I mean, there's definitely something schematically they're doing against tight ends. Does the fact that the Colts have a second very good receiving tight end in Mo Alley Cox scare you at all? Because if the passing volume does kind of get split, they could combine 4 catches for 35 yards, but neither of them hit 20.
Yeah. No, I think that's a valid point. But at the same time, I don't really necessarily know if the Pats are really doing something that's shutting down tight ends versus, I mean, if we go through like we have.
I mean, these are all teams with good tight ends. Like,
okay,
it's very, very consistent that good tight ends have bad games against the Patriots. If it was just 1 or 2, I'd say, yeah, we can't really infer anything from that.
I guess that's more okay, so here's what I'm getting at. I think it's more that Bill Belichick is looking to shut down guys that they think could beat them. And I don't think in this game that they're going to have as much as a concern on Doyle versus Michael Pittman. And I know that's another receiver, but
I think that's a good point. I mean, if you look at a guy like Pitts, say, he's the definite number 1 option in that offense. So he's like the most important guy to shut down. If we're going to use that as a point of comparison. And then maybe even the Cowboys, a team with a bunch of good receivers. That's the team where a tight end had a good game.
Yeah, and even the Browns game, right? I'm looking at that game, looking at some of the numbers. Let's see here. I guess Hooper hit his number, but they were down. That was kind of there's just a lot of weird games that the Patriots have played in. Just like there's a huge blowout, and then you have the Bills game. I guess the Titans is a one that we can look at and say like, okay, what happened there? But yeah, I just think that number at 19.5 is just so low.
Yeah, it is. It is quite low. So what about any of the other receiving options on the Colts?
I'm staying away from them, Nick.
So what I do think is interesting is running backs against the Patriots have had a lot of success in the passing game. And I think that this is correlated with how they do against tight ends. And this is another reason why I think it is kind of a schematic thing. Is because where you put people on the field to shut down tight ends in the passing game, I mean, that does kind of open up space for backs to make catches as well.
Yeah, because the linebacker for the most part, is going to be responsible for something like that. So.
Yeah, and it's just that he's going to be. It's the same guy in one of two different positions on the field, more or less. I mean, it's more complicated than that, but
yeah.
If we're going to use broad
you're right.
strokes. So running backs against the Patriots are averaging 6 catches per game for 54 yards. And that includes the Bills game where they just didn't throw the ball at all.
Yeah.
So I think that a guy like either Jonathan Taylor or like Nyheim Hines could be in store for some volume in the passing game. And I think that Hines actually is a guy that I think is kind of interesting here.
Yeah, I think I was going to say, based off that, Hines, sneaky.
So Hines, I mean, his receiving volume has been a little bit up and down over the course of the season. Started out really hot, had a string of 4 straight weeks where he didn't hit double-digit receiving yards. But now he's been 17 plus 4 of the last 5 weeks through the air. 22 plus in 4 of those games. I mean, and he's seen double-digit catches, again, in 4 of those 5 games. And his number is not all that high here. It's sitting at 16.5. So if we're thinking maybe the Colts are going to be down, or even if it's just going to be a close game, they might be down but end up coming back and winning.
I like that a lot. I think that's a good play.
Yeah, I think that he's going to be in line for some volume here. Let me flip this around so we can see him. The model has him at 19.9 through the air, like 3 catches. I think that this is a really sneaky good spot.
Yeah. I agree. I think and Hines is more than capable. Like, he's got the talent too, so I think it makes a lot of sense. And he's going to get his, he still will come in on running plays too. They like to mix it up. Like, Frank Wright will put him on first downs. I mean, it doesn't happen a lot, but they will try to mix things up. So I think he's going to get a decent amount of snaps in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he sees what, like 30 to 40% of the snaps.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't looked at the numbers, but there have to be at least 3 or 4 occasions in the last few games where he hit over his rushing number, Hines.
Yeah,
when I was like, oh, I'm surprised, but
last 5 weeks he's had 3, 1, 4, 2, and 6 carries. So he does see some action.
Yeah,
in that part of the game as well. So long story short, I like this Nyheim Hines receiving over. So let's move on and talk about the Patriots. Oh, and also Bad Mamba. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. I don't think we said that, but we appreciate that very much. So on the Patriots side of things, we have Brandon Bolden, who we talked about a lot earlier, 27.5. Hunter Henry, 25.5. Jacoby Myers, 45.5. Jonnu Smith, 17.5. Kendrick Bourne, 38.5. Nelson Aguilar, 27.5. Ramondre Stevenson, 13.5.
Let's talk about Bolden.
All right. So what do you have to say about Bolden?
I think Bolden is a interesting candidate to go over this number. Obviously, based on what I said with Stevenson, I think that he's going to just be on the field quite a bit. But 27, I mean, it's getting up there.
Mm-hmm. It is.
What are your thoughts?
Up there. I think it's too high if you're looking for an over.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his reception totals in the last several weeks. I mean, we're gonna kind of ignore last week. He had 1 catch for 7 yards. 33% target volume. Wow. 4 catches for 54 against Tennessee, 2 for 15 against Atlanta, 3 for 38 week 10 against Cleveland, 2 for 27 against Carolina. That's the last 5 weeks for Bolden. At 27.5, it feels really coin flippy to me. I think it's kind of just comes down to, does he break a big one? And I don't have any reason to say that he will or won't do that.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on that one. So what about some of the receivers?
Yeah, I mean,
anything there?
So maybe.
I always hate like
I hate
Patriots.
the
I've never
Patriots. I mean, so you know what we did last week with the Patriots, or the last game with the Patriots, right? We had Monday Night Football. We hit the Nick special.
Yep.
We just took
great.
literally every receiver, tight end, receiving under for the Patriots and hit them all. And the Nick special started last year in a primetime game, again with the Patriots, where we took like 4 or 5 Patriot receiving unders and hit all but one of them, I think. So I hate the Patriots. They're not a good team if you're looking to find guys to bet receiving overs on, at least from the wide receiver group. I think that there's kind of no rhyme or reason as to whether it's Aguilar or whether it's Bourne or whether it's Myers who is the one who gets enough volume to hit their number. The numbers are all low, but that's because the Patriots don't really throw the ball a ton.
Yeah, and they don't need to. I mean, we saw what happened last week, so
yeah, I think, I mean, Chaz was asking about this earlier. I think for me, I don't want to Nick special all these unders, but there's no individual I would say that I like the over for. If I were to pick one, it would be one of the tight ends, either Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith. Henry's at 25.5. Smith is at, I think, 17.5. The Colts do allow a bit of volume to tight ends on the year, averaging about 6.5 catches for 67 yards allowed to tight ends. But again, I don't know who it's going to be. I mean, Smith gets a little bit less volume, but his number is also a little lower. And Henry gets a little bit more volume, but his number is higher. I think they're kind of both where they should be. And real quick, I'll pull up the model for these guys. So, I mean, we got Myers at 45, Bourne at 34, Aguilar at 33, Henry at 22, Bolden at 20, and then Jonnu Smith is at 19. So all these guys, like, right on the number.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody has, like, a reason why they like a certain guy, let us know. But I don't personally have anybody that I really like.
Yeah, I looked at him earlier. I just always struggle to figure out who's going to be the guy for the Patriots. So,
yeah, no, they're kind of shitty team. Looking at, I mean, they're not actual football wise. They're a very good football team, but if you're looking for props, it's a tough team.
That's probably why they're a good team, right?
Yeah, it's because nobody knows what to expect.
Yeah. Like, especially out of a bye, like Myers could get 10 targets tonight, right?
Yeah, I mean, JJ Taylor's going to get 30 carries randomly. And then he's going to miss practice and get cut and never be heard from again.
Well, he has COVID, so he can't do that.
Yeah, well.
But I get what you're saying.
Well, then it's whoever the next guy is.
I was trying to find if they have a third running back tonight.
They're going to carry a third back.
Gotta have
to carry
someone.
3 backs.
You have to?
Well, I mean, I don't think a team.
Oh, they have a fullback, right?
Probably.
Seems like a very Patriot Bill Belichick thing to do.
That's true.
I was just looking to see.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. He doesn't have any props up. Not a big piece of the puzzle here. So let's finish this off by looking at a couple touchdown props. So I think that we have some consensus that this is going to be a low-scoring game. I mean, the total is at 46. The model has it in that 41 and a half range. So not a lot of touchdowns to go around. Oh, also, real quick. So Chaz is talking about Aguilar, so we can touch back on that. I like Aguilar just because of model consensus. For whatever reason, all 3 models you've seen have Aguilar as a top-tier edge DFS models. Yeah, I mean, so we have DFS output as kind of just a natural extension of what we're doing the modeling at a play-by-play level. I mean, we get receptions and yards and targets and touchdowns anyways. You just multiply it all together and add it together to get DFS. Here we have
I found the backup running back too, or the third string.
Oh, who is it?
Devin, I think, unless it's Divine. Ozigbo.
Oh, Divine Ozigbo.
It's Divine? Okay.
I think. He was on the Saints earlier this year, right?
Yeah, he's bounced around. So, yeah, they elevated him from the practice squad. So, we'll see if we get a number in the touchdown prop market. Do you see anything for him?
We'll take a scroll. So, Jonathan Taylor is minus 190.
Gosh.
I mean,
it makes sense,
on the one
but
hand,
God.
yes. On the other hand, no.
This is, imagine it's my lock of the night. Minus 190.
So we have Taylor at 0.88 touchdowns. That's not an 88% chance of getting a touchdown. That's like 0.88 touchdowns per game. I always want to emphasize that. But I think with that number, minus 190 just doesn't look like a good value. Beyond that, I mean, Michael Pittman is the next guy at 0.49. And at 0.49, I mean, what are you looking for? You're looking for a plus 200 at the cheapest. And you're just not going to... Well, I guess he actually is at exactly plus 200. So maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah, so somebody way at the beginning of the stream said Stevenson. He's sitting at plus 100. Model has him at 0.47 touchdowns. So I think that the value there, at least for my taste, is slightly off.
What about our guy Bolden?
Bolden is at plus 225. Model has him at 0.33 touchdowns, so you're looking for more like a... Well, I mean, I guess like a plus 200, right? For a 30.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be the guy for me. I know I don't.
Yeah, I mean, Bolden feels like a better value than Stevenson from just this model perspective. At least, let's see if we've got... No, I'm not seeing a number for Ozigbo at all.
Yeah, me either. I mean, who knows if he even...
That's like some degen shit right there.
Well, hey, what happened on Monday? Who had that touchdown?
Burnett, the fullback.
Yeah. So...
I love me some fullbacks.
Yeah. Nick, back to the same game parlay stuff.
Yeah, let's go through and do that.
I got it. I already have the numbers, but
nice. What are the numbers?
It's plus 700 either way you write it up. So if you have the Colts winning, of course we're going to go with Mac Jones over and then Taylor's over. Yeah, and that's plus 700.
Nice. Yeah. So, and quick refresher for anybody who either forgot or wasn't here when we were talking about this, but we kind of both feel like there's a really strong correlation just between which team wins this game and the output that the corresponding quarterbacks and running backs are going to have. So with the Colts, if the Colts win throughout the course of the season in 13 games, Jonathan Taylor has gone over his rushing prop number tonight all 7 times the Colts have won, and he's gone under it all 6 times they've lost. So in the 13-game sample size, perfect correlation there. Potential SGP spot to exploit. And then we're also thinking whatever team loses, their quarterback is going to be throwing the ball. The numbers are low. Good over spot.
Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense because both teams, such good run games, right? So just a lot of correlation there.
Yep. So each of them in that plus 700 range? Or did you only check the one way?
Oh, both of them exactly 700.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I figured they would be the same because they don't actually look at individual players. They just say,
"Yep,
what's the correlation between if this is the money line? How likely is it that the quarterback goes over? How likely is it that the running back goes over or under or whatever?"
Yeah.
So nice. I think that those maybe splitting quarter unit on each or something could be a
it's an interesting
angle.
Yeah.
So all of that nonsense, it's not nonsense, but it's plus 700. Top bet of the night's probably not going to be plus 700, but Ben, what is your top bet tonight?
I'm going to go with Doyle over 19.5 receiving yards. He's going to be on the field a lot. He's going to get 3 to 4 targets, and I think he'll He'll have 2 catches and 26. That's going to be my prediction.
Nice. And I'm going to take another receiving over on the Colts side. I'm going to go with Nyheim Hines, though. I'm going to take Nyheim Hines over 16.5 receiving yards. I think he's just had plenty of volume in the receiving game. He's gone over this number 4 of the last 5. And the only time he just didn't get any targets. I think in a tight game, he's going to see the field. He's going to get his targets. He'll get his catches, and he'll get his yards. And the Patriots allow a lot of yards to running backs through the air.
The more I think about it, Nick, I think I like that more than my pick. It's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's we can both win this one. We're not in competition.
Oh, Colts are bringing it tonight, Nick.
Yeah, I think the Colts are going to bring it, and I think the Patriots are going to bring it.
Who's going to bring it more?
I don't know. Maybe it'll be a tie. 21-21.
Oh, no. Don't even say that.
I did. I just said it.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I think that wraps up the stream for today, unless you've got anything else.
No, I think I said everything on my chest. Got it off. And I'm excited for this one. This is going to be a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think they've picked some pretty good primetime games this week. We had a really excellent game with the Chiefs and the Chargers on Thursday. We lost the Raiders and the Browns earlier today, but we still have this one as a nightcap. And what does that mean also? It means that we have Tuesday. Football on Tuesday. So
yes.
we'll have a Tuesday stream, I'm sure.
My fiance goes, why is there football on Tuesday? And I was like, COVID.
Tradition.
Yeah.
No.
At this point,
yeah, I mean, I'm sure if the NFL could, they would.
Yeah, I'm sure they were like, oh shucks, we're gonna have to move this to Tuesday.
Oh,
Darn.
No. Let's make sure we spread them out.
Yeah, we care about everyone's health.
You know that all the TV providers are like, oh no, we have to play more NFL games. Darn.
Yeah. Oh, more money.
Yeah. That was our imitation of the NFL.
On their conference call, like, oh no.
Oh no. It's like the South Park episode with BP, where they spill all the oil and he's like, "We're sorry."
Yeah, so
like the really fake, shitty apology video.
But we have to make it. Yeah, we feel so bad. Yep.
Maybe that's it, right? So there's a lot of COVID conspiracy theories, but I think we just figured it out, right? The NFL created COVID so that they could spread more games out over more days and make more money.
I mean, that wouldn't even crack the top 10 craziest conspiracy theory I've heard this week. So,
yeah,
maybe you're onto something. Yeah, the sports books don't care either.
No, sports books are doing great. More prime time.
More prime time. Mm-hmm. Let's go.
Yeah, so we'll be back tomorrow morning, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. for us here in the Mountain Time Zone, with run through of whatever games are happening tomorrow.
Yeah, we should probably figure out like what picks we like and all that stuff, because we waited because
I don't want to do official picks.
Yeah, it's tough. There's going to be
get ruled out.
What if we do it
we've
like...
seen it with college basketball the last couple of days even.
There's going to be...
leading
guys,
scorers out.
If you're betting tomorrow, you got to tune in, because I guarantee you, Nick, what's going to happen is there's going to be crazy news all morning, and then injuries, of course, an hour before the game. But the line's going to be... Because I guarantee you a lot of sharp bettors are waiting on stuff.
Yeah,
like
which is the
not
opposite
betting
of how sharps usually behave.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they will on certain occasions if they think a number is going to get there, but 100%, most of them, like imagine someone betting Packers and then Aaron Rodgers is out, right? Like,
yeah.
At this point, I know people want that closing line value, but you can't risk it the way things have just happened this week. So,
yeah, it's just a different game.
Yeah. So yeah, join us tomorrow. It's going to be like stock trading, Nick. It's going to be like pew pew pew. We got some news. Slam it.
Give me 200,000 shares at minus 2.5.
Yeah, it's gonna be like NASDAQ.
It's hit 3.
Yeah, hit, slam it,
hedge
slam
at
it.
plus 300,000 shares.
Slam it. Alrighty, good luck tonight, guys. We'll catch you in the Discord.
Yep, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
See ya.
Good luck as always.